The sun was barely rising over the quiet streets of Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was one of those chilly mornings that made even the wind feel lonely. In front of a closed bakery, a little boy sat alone on the sidewalk. Dirt smudged his jeans, the knees worn thin from days spent crawling through places no child should ever have to sleep. His hoodie, navy blue and far too big, hung off his narrow shoulders like a hand-me-down from a brother he never had. He was maybe 6, maybe 7. No one really knew. And that was the worst part, because no one ever asked. Across the street, stepping out of a modest black SUV, was Keanu Reeves. Dressed in a black hoodie and jeans, he had just finished visiting a small community center he quietly funded. No cameras, no press. Just Keanu doing what he always did best, showing up. But as he turned to head back to his car, something stopped him. A pair of eyes. Brown, wide, scared, and familiar. The kind of familiar that spoke to a part of him buried deep in the past, the part that remembered what it was like to feel invisible. Keanu froze, and then he crossed the street. He crouched down slowly, keeping a gentle distance. "Hey there, buddy. You okay?" The boy didn't answer. He didn't run. He didn't speak. He just stared. Keanu looked around. The streets were still empty. No parents, no one even looking in their direction. "Are you waiting for someone?" he asked. Still nothing. Keanu sat down on the curb, keeping his hands in plain sight, voice soft as the morning breeze. "It's okay. I'm just here to talk. No pressure." And that's when he noticed it. The boy's left hand was gripping something tight, so tight his knuckles had gone white. A crumpled photo. A woman, holding the boy, smiling. But it was old, faded, and torn in half. Keanu didn't ask. He didn't need to. Before we go on, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps stories like this reach more people. And if stories about quiet acts of kindness move you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a new story. Here on Legends and Stories, we bring you the moments that matter most. Back to the story. Keanu reached into his jacket pocket, slowly, and pulled out a protein bar. He placed it on the ground, midway between them. "I don't know if you're hungry, but I've got this. It's yours if you want it." The boy didn't move. Not at first. But then, almost like a reflex, his hand darted forward. He grabbed it, clutched it to his chest like it was treasure. And then he whispered one word. "Thank you." It was barely audible, but Keanu heard it, and it broke something open inside him. This wasn't just a kid on the street. This was a cry no one else had answered. Yet. And Keanu wasn't going to walk away. Not this time. The boy devoured the protein bar in a way that made Keanu's chest tighten. Not ravenous, desperate. As if every bite was a chance to hold on, to feel something solid in a world that had slipped through his fingers. He didn't speak again, but Keanu stayed. Minutes passed. The city around them slowly stirred awake. Headlights flashing by, a jogger passing on the other side of the street, distant sounds of car doors slamming shut. But there, on that empty curb, time stood still. Keanu finally broke the silence. "You got a name?" The boy hesitated. His eyes darted to the sidewalk. Then he gave the smallest shrug. Keanu blinked. "You don't remember?" The boy looked up and shook his head. Not yes, not number, just nothing. That shook Keanu more than he was ready to admit. It wasn't just that the boy didn't speak. It was that, somewhere along the way, someone had taken his identity with them. Keanu gently nodded, as if he understood completely. "Okay," he said softly. "We don't need a name right now." He stood up slowly. "But I think we need to warm up." Still no answer. Just the faint sound of chewing slowing to a stop. So Keanu did something simple. Something human. He took off his hoodie and gently wrapped it around the boy's shoulders. It dwarfed him, of course, but the boy didn't resist. In fact, he held onto it like armor. Like maybe, just maybe, it meant someone was on his side now. "I've got a warm car just over there. No pressure, but we can sit. Get you out of the wind. I'll leave the door open, okay? You can sit in the front seat if you want." The boy stood up slowly, still silent, still cautious. But he followed, and that was everything. The moment they stepped into the SUV, Keanu turned the heat up gently. He didn't look directly at the boy, just gave him space. Sometimes the greatest kindness was presence, not pressure. Keanu opened the glove box and pulled out a bottle of water and a granola bar. Placed it on the console between them like a peace offering. "I can take you somewhere safe," he said softly. "Somewhere with food, beds, people who care. It's up to you." Still nothing. But this time, there was a flicker, a small glance. Not toward Keanu, but toward the photo still clutched in the boy's hand. Keanu looked closer. The woman in the picture, mid-30s maybe, curly hair, wide smile, and behind her, a park bench, a street sign, just barely visible. Montgomery and Ash. Keanu knew the intersection. It was 5 blocks from here. The boy had walked far. He wasn't just lost, he was searching. And Keanu realized something right then. This wasn't a rescue. It was a reunion, interrupted. And someone hadn't made it. Keanu didn't ask. He simply whispered, "She looks kind." The boy nodded, just once. Then, finally, he spoke again. "She said if I ever got scared, I should go where the people are good." Keanu swallowed the lump rising in his throat. "You found it, kid," he said. "You're here." They drove in silence. Not the heavy kind, but the kind that felt safe. Keanu parked outside a small shelter he personally supported. It wasn't fancy, but it was real, clean, warm, staffed by people who saw souls, not situations. He turned to the boy. "You don't have to go in if you're not ready." The boy stared at the building, then down at his torn shoes, then back at Keanu. "Will you come with me?" It was the first time he'd asked for anything. Keanu nodded without hesitation. Every step. Inside, a gentle woman named Rosa met them at the desk. Her eyes immediately softened when she saw the boy. She leaned down. "Hey there, sweetheart. What's your name?" The boy looked up at Keanu, still unsure, still floating in limbo between who he was and who he was allowed to be. Keanu knelt beside him. "Tell you what," he said gently, "until you remember, how about we pick one? Just for now. Something strong. Something yours." The boy blinked, and then, without missing a beat, Keanu said, "How about Leo?" The boy stared. Then, after a moment, he smiled. A real one. Faint, fragile, but real. "Leo," he whispered. "Okay." Keanu placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "Leo it is." And with that, the boy who had no name finally had one. Not because it was given, but because it was chosen. And from that moment forward, he would never be alone again. The room Leo was taken to was small but clean. Light blue walls, a soft cot, and a stuffed bear sitting on the windowsill as if waiting for someone to believe in it again. He didn't say much as Rosa helped him settle in. He clutched the photo tightly, refusing to let go even when she offered a blanket. Keanu stayed nearby the entire time. He didn't hover. He didn't intrude. He just waited. When Leo finally looked up, it was Keanu, not Rosa, he locked eyes with. "Will you come back?" the boy asked. His voice was barely louder than a whisper. Keanu nodded. "Every day if you want." Leo's tiny fingers tightened around the photo. "Even if I forget stuff again?" Keanu stepped forward, crouching to meet him at eye level. "I'll remember with you." That was the promise, and Keanu kept it. 3 days later, Keanu returned with a backpack filled with things Leo might need: new socks, a proper hoodie in Leo's size, a journal, and a copy of The Little Prince. Leo didn't open it right away. He just traced the fox on the cover with his finger like it was something ancient and sacred. "You ever read it?" Keanu asked. Leo shook his head. "It's about a boy who travels a lot, sees many things, and realizes that what matters most is the stuff we can't see with our eyes." Leo was quiet for a moment, then softly asked, "Like love?" Keanu smiled. "Exactly like love." That day, Leo said a little more. Not much, but enough. He liked grilled cheese. He hated loud noises. He missed his mom's humming at bedtime. And once, only once, he said the word uncle, then went silent and wouldn't speak again for 2 hours. Keanu didn't press him. He just stayed. That was enough. 1 week later, Rosa pulled Keanu aside while Leo napped. "There's something you should know," she said quietly. "We ran his fingerprints." Keanu's brow furrowed. "And?" "There's a missing persons report, out of Arizona. His name really is Leo. Leo Anthony Brooks. He disappeared 8 months ago." Keanu's breath caught. His mother. Deceased. Car accident. Father. Unknown. The air felt heavier now. Keanu looked through the glass pane at the tiny boy curled up in bed, his new hoodie wrapped around him like armor. "He doesn't need to know all of it yet," Keanu said quietly. "Not unless he asks. Right now, he just needs to be a kid again." Rosa nodded. "He trusts you." "I trust him too," Keanu said. 2 weeks later, Keanu showed up like clockwork. Every morning at 9, hoodie over a gray t-shirt, coffee in hand, always carrying something for Leo. A puzzle, a book, a new pair of sneakers. They played chess. They made sandwiches. One day, Leo reached over and tied Keanu's shoelace without saying a word, just quietly, gently, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Keanu smiled. "Thanks, buddy." "You help me," Leo said. "So I help you." That's how it worked now. 2 people, one helping the other learn how to live again. 3 weeks later, Leo had a nightmare. He screamed in the middle of the night, waking up the whole floor. When Rosa got to his room, he was huddled in the corner, shaking, the photo crushed in his hands. She tried to calm him, but he wouldn't speak. He kept saying one word: "Keanu." She called him, not expecting an answer. But within 15 minutes, Keanu was there. In sweatpants. No cameras, no entourage, just him. He sat on the floor, cross-legged, and opened his arms without saying a word. Leo ran into them like they were home. Later that night, Leo spoke. He told Keanu everything. Not in order, not all at once, but in pieces. His mom's accident, the foster house that came after, the man who said he was family but wasn't, the running, the cold nights, the hunger, the praying that someone, anyone, would find him. And Keanu didn't cry, but his voice cracked when he said, "You're safe now, Leo. No one's going to hurt you again." Leo looked up. "You promise?" Keanu nodded. "On everything I've got." And Leo whispered, "Then I believe you." The sun peeked through the clouds, casting a soft, golden glow over the shelter's small courtyard. Birds chirped lazily in the trees above, and for the first time in weeks, maybe months, Leo was running. Not running away. Running toward something. Toward laughter. Toward life. Keanu stood by the wooden fence, arms crossed, watching Leo chase a soccer ball across the grass with a few other children. His hoodie, now washed and a little too snug, hung off Leo's tiny frame like a badge of belonging. His jeans were new, his sneakers untied but clean, and his smile? Unmistakably real. Rosa approached quietly from behind. He hasn't laughed like that since he arrived. Keanu didn't take his eyes off the boy. He hasn't laughed like that in a long time. There was a long pause. Then Rosa added softly, "Neither have you." Keanu gave the faintest smile. That night, Leo asked Keanu if he could stay over just one night, like a sleepover, but for big people too. Keanu laughed and nodded. "Sure, buddy. One night." He curled up in a sleeping bag beside Leo's small cot. The room was dark and peaceful, save for the hum of the heater and the soft sound of Leo's breathing. But around midnight, Keanu heard a whisper. "Keanu?" He sat up gently. "Yeah? Are you gonna leave?" Keanu reached over and rested a hand on Leo's shoulder. "I'll be here when you wake up." I promise. Leo turned toward him in the dark. "Can I tell you something else?" "Anything. I still see her sometimes, in dreams, my mom. But sometimes, I forget what her voice sounds like." "Is that bad?" Keanu's voice caught, but he steadied it. "No, Leo, it's not bad. It just means the world's been loud for a while. But you won't forget her forever. We'll remember her together." Leo nodded against the pillow, eyes fluttering shut again. And Keanu stayed awake for hours after, staring at the ceiling, grateful, broken, whole, all at once. 2 days later, a caseworker named Janice visited the shelter. She had Leo's file, she had a clipboard, and she had words Keanu didn't want to hear. "He can't stay here forever." Keanu stood in the hallway, arms crossed. "I know that," Janice hesitated. "But if you're serious about becoming his guardian, there's paperwork, home visits, legal processes. It's not quick, and it's not easy." Keanu looked past her, into the common room, where Leo sat drawing stars on a piece of paper with a purple crayon. "I don't need easy," he said. "I just need him." That evening, Keanu sat beside Leo on the shelter floor, watching him draw. "What you working on?" he asked. Leo tilted the page. "It's you and me, and the sky." The stars were messy, beautiful. One figure had short legs, big shoes, and a hoodie. The other? A tall man with kind eyes and a smile that didn't need explaining. "That's us?" Keanu asked. Leo nodded. "I made the stars big, so you can always find me, even if I get lost again." Keanu's throat tightened. He reached out, gently ruffling the boy's hair. "You're not getting lost again, Leo. Not on my watch." 1 week later, Keanu's guest house had been cleaned, painted, and filled with things that weren't just practical, but personal. A telescope by the window, a bookshelf already full of adventure stories, a framed copy of Leo's crayon drawing on the nightstand. The house wasn't big, but it was perfect. And when Leo stepped inside, his mouth fell open. "You made me a house?" Keanu knelt beside him. "I made you a home." Leo looked up with eyes wider than the sky itself. "You're my home now." Keanu pulled him into a hug so tight, so full of emotion, it nearly knocked him off balance. "You're mine too, kid." Later that night, Leo stood at the kitchen counter, mixing chocolate chips into cookie dough while Keanu read aloud from The Little Prince. "And now here is my secret," he read softly. "A very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye." Leo looked up. "You think my mom sees us?" Keanu closed the book gently. "I think she never stopped." They baked the cookies. They made a mess. They ate way too many. And as Leo curled up on the couch under a soft blanket, Keanu whispered, "You're not just a part of my life, Leo. You're the reason it matters more now." Leo yawned, eyes already drifting shut. "I love you." It was the first time he'd said it. Keanu swallowed hard. "I love you too, little man." The stars outside sparkled like the ones in Leo's drawing, and for the first time in a long time, they both believed in forever again. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into something even harder to name. Routine, trust, healing. Leo's laughter became more frequent, louder, freer. He learned how to ride a bike. He drew stars on every empty scrap of paper he could find. And every night, without fail, he asked Keanu the same question before bed. "You'll be here tomorrow, right?" And every time Keanu answered with the same quiet strength. "Always." But life, even the good kind, doesn't wait forever. One morning, a thick envelope arrived at Keanu's front door, official papers from the county. Inside, confirmation of temporary guardianship, a first step toward adoption. Keanu held the papers in his hands, staring at them longer than he meant to. Not because he had doubts, but because it felt real now. Permanent. Beautifully, terrifyingly permanent. He wasn't just protecting Leo anymore. He was becoming his father. That evening, as they sat together on the porch with mugs of hot cocoa, Keanu looked over at Leo. "Hey, you ever think about the future?" Leo tilted his head. "Like flying cars and aliens?" Keanu chuckled. "Sure, or maybe just what you want to be when you grow up." Leo went quiet. Then he pointed to the sky. "I want to find kids like me, the ones no one sees." Keanu looked at him. "The way I found you." Leo shook his head. "The way you saw me." Keanu blinked hard. "You're going to be something special, Leo. You already are." The next day, they visited Leo's school. It was small, kind. The principal had read the story in the papers but promised discretion. No cameras, no curiosity, just care. Leo was nervous. He clung to Keanu's hand as they walked through the hallways. But then a girl in a blue dress handed him a crayon and said, "Want to sit by me?" Leo looked up at Keanu. Keanu nodded. "Go on, buddy." Leo sat, and when he turned back, Keanu was still there, just outside the door, watching, waiting. And when school ended, Leo ran into his arms. That night, they celebrated. Pizza, ice cream. A movie Leo didn't finish because he fell asleep halfway through, his head resting on Keanu's chest like it had always belonged there. The following weekend, something happened neither of them expected. A letter arrived. From Arizona. From a woman named Cassandra, Leo's aunt, the sister of Leo's mother. She had been searching, had filed reports, traveled, prayed. When she read about Keanu's involvement, she wept. Her words were careful, gentle. "I don't want to take him from you. I just want to meet him, to tell him about his mom, to say goodbye if he still remembers me." Keanu showed the letter to Rosa first, then, later, to Leo. Leo read it slowly, tracing the ink with his finger. "She smells like lilacs," he whispered suddenly. Keanu blinked. "You remember that?" Leo nodded. "She used to visit. Then she stopped. I thought, maybe she didn't want me." Keanu placed a hand on his back. "People don't always leave because they want to. Sometimes the world gets in the way." Leo didn't say anything more that night. But a week later, Cassandra came. She brought pictures, letters, stories of Leo's mom, how she loved music, used to sing on the porch at sunset, how her laugh could turn any bad day into something bearable. Leo didn't cry. He listened. And then he handed her the crumpled photo he'd carried all this time. "She's with me," he said. "But I want you to have this too." Cassandra cried then, not the broken kind of tears, the healing kind. After she left, Keanu asked Leo, "Are you okay?" Leo nodded. I think I don't feel as heavy anymore." 1 month later, the adoption was finalized. A judge signed the papers with a small smile and an even smaller nod to Keanu. "You two are lucky to have each other." Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. Keanu didn't speak to them, but Leo did. He walked up, stood in front of the flashing cameras and said, "I used to be lost. But someone found me. Not because I was famous or important, just because I was seen." Then he walked back to Keanu and whispered, "Let's go home." They did. That night, Keanu tucked Leo into bed, like always. Only this time, Leo held a framed picture by his pillow. One that showed the two of them together in the backyard, covered in paint from a mural they'd made on the garden wall. In bright yellow and blue letters, the words read, "This is where the stars found us." Keanu kissed the boy's forehead. "Good night, Leo." Leo smiled. "Good night, Dad." It was the first time he'd ever said it. Keanu turned off the light, stepped into the hallway, and leaned against the wall, overwhelmed in the best way. Outside, the sky was alive with stars, and somewhere, far beyond them, a woman with a kind smile was watching. Proud, at peace, and finally, at home. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe to our channel. And in the comments, tell us, have you ever seen someone when no one else did? Have you ever been someone's light? Because here at Legends and Stories, we believe the smallest act of love can change the entire sky. Let the stars remind us, some families are chosen, and some are destined.